Hey, New City. This is Thurman Williams, pastor of New City West End. And I wanted to speak to you just for a few moments from a psalm that's been a favorite of mine for over 20 years or so. And it's a psalm that maybe is not in everybody's top 10, not on everybody's playlist, Psalm 77. So let me begin with that. And the psalmist says, I cry aloud to God, and he will hear me. In the day of my trouble, I seek the Lord. In the night, my hand is stretched out without wearying. And maybe that's what some of you all are feeling today, or maybe some people around you are feeling that. And so I hope that these words can encourage you as you look at the psalmist's experience. But then he says, my soul refuses to be comforted. When I remember God, I moan. When I meditate, my spirit faints. And maybe you've been in that place. Maybe you're in that place right now, or surely you know somebody who is. Well, the psalmist continues. He says, you hold my eyelids open. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. You know what that feels like? Then it says, I consider the days of old, the years long ago. I said, let me remember my song in the night. Let me meditate in my heart. Then my spirit made a diligent search. And then he asked these rhetorical questions. In verse 7, will the Lord spurn forever and never again be favorable? Has his steadfast love forever ceased? Are his promises at an end for all time? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he in anger shut up his compassion? And so you can feel the anguish of the psalmist's heart. Whatever is going on, whatever trouble he's feeling, it's led him to ask God, God, are you there? And if you are, do you care? Have you forgotten about me? Maybe there's some that are feeling that today in the midst of the coronavirus epidemic and all the things that that means for us and our family and for our neighbors and our world. And maybe you're in the same place. And one thing that the psalmist encourages us is whatever place you're in, you can bring that to God. Come to him, and he will hear you. He will answer. Now let's see what happens in the second half of the psalm. He says, then I said, I will appeal to this, to the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your wonders of old. And so what does the psalmist do? He goes back. And even though he doesn't feel like it, even though his heart is filled with anguish, he goes back to remember who God is. I will ponder all your work, verse 12 says, and meditate on your mighty deeds. Your way, O God, is holy. What God is great like our God? You are the God who works wonders. You have made known your might among the peoples. You with your arm, you redeemed your people, the children of Jacob and Joseph. He's remembering God's works of redemption in the past. When the waters saw you, O God, when the waters saw you, they were afraid. Indeed, the deep trembled. The clouds poured out water. The skies gave forth thunder. Your arrows flashed on every side. The crash of your thunder was in the whirlwind. Your lightnings lighted up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your way was through the sea, your path through the great waters, yet your footprints were unseen. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. And so what the psalmist did to encourage his own soul and what the community needed and in terms of encouragement in the midst of this lament was to remember God, to remember God's works of redemption in the past, and to remember who God is, what those works of redemption reveal about his character. And so I encourage us with the same today. However you've come, whoever you are, wherever you come from, however you're responding in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, I encourage you to remember how God has redeemed you. You've got your own testimony, right? Somebody needs to hear about that, how God redeemed you, how he brought you out of darkness into light, how he saved you from being dead and brought you back to life again. But not only for you, you can remember what God has done for his people, what he's done in the lives of our own churches, but not just us, what he's done in the lives of his people through all eternity, his incredible works of redemption. Remember those things and remember what they say about him. Remember who he is. Ending with these questions, the writer asks in verse 9, the steadfast love of the Lord, it never ceases. His promises, they always come to fruition. Our God does not forget to be gracious. And in his anger, he doesn't shut out his compassion. He's slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. Remember today who our God is and encourage one another with the same. Thank you.